I not pray for Nigeria to scatter. I'm not praying Nigeria to fight war.
I will naturally want to vote if my vote will count. I believe I'll every Nigerian to go and vote, and I believe in Nigeria.
There are signs that the boat is about to rock or whatever, but I believe that come what may, we'll overcome. I see storm, but I also, after the storm, I see peace.
Boundaries of nations are carved out by God, and I think that God has a plan for this country. And quite frankly, it is my honest opinion that come 2015, regardless of all that is happening, God's will be done.
Hello there, you're welcome to this week's episode of Patito's Gang. Today we are looking at the 2015 elections. Are you going to vote? Will the elections hold? What about the prediction that the American government made about Nigeria's, whether Nigeria will stay 2015 or not? These are some of the issues we're going to discuss at the Patito's Gang, if you join us in a moment.
We'll keep on praying. It is better we have a united Nigeria. The northerners need the oil from the east, the easterners need the food and disease from the north. It is very nice to have a united Nigeria. If it doesn't work, God in His infinite mercy should find a way of solving the problem, because the only way this country is going to break down is going to be by fracas. We have tried that in the 60s, it didn't work. Some of us are wearing part of it, but what we are reading is not something we should be proud of. We pray the prediction doesn't come true. I'm happy with Nigeria. I not pray for Nigeria to scatter. I'm not praying Nigeria to fight war. This 2015 now, I'm looking at it now that we need more security for this Nigeria. Many need security. We need it for this Nigeria.
I think that on the practical, everyday side, I would say that to a large extent, we need an independent umpire, and a lot will rest with Jega and his team and INEC. And if, with regards to all the players, that everything is done in such a transparent way that there is no way to fault the process, it will be difficult for us to say that the process was hijacked. And to a large extent, I tend to believe that things will work out, even though things may not seem that way right now.
I will naturally want to vote if my vote will count. I believe I'll every Nigerian to go and vote, and I believe in Nigeria. I still believe that our future is bright, because as much as I criticize a lot of people in Nigeria, there are still few Nigerians that are reasonable. I'm not saying that all the leaders are the cowards, but the question is this: if we're going to grow in Nigeria, if we're going to grow in this country, we still by vote. We're still going to vote them out. But my question is, does this vote, do they really count?
We are back. This is Patito's Gang, and today we are looking at 2015 election two ways. The 2015 election and the American prediction about the status of Nigeria after the elections, or even before then. With the current events happening in Nigeria now, is it making us to think? How is the election going to be? Are we going to hold the election in the first place? Will the politicians be more tolerant this time? We did play the game according to the rule of the game. Well, I have the gang with me here. I have Marcel, Otumba, and Emeka here with me to discuss this matter. And, Marcel, talking about 2015 election, a very good friend of mine in the House of Representatives, I had a meeting with him recently. And I asked him, how is the politics? Or how is 2015 going to be? He said, well, Austin, you people are talking to me. You people are doing politics according to the books. Unfortunately, the book is not written for us. What's your take on it?
Well, 2015 is here with us. When you talk about 2015, it looks as if it's far away. It's here. You talked about the predictions that we are giving about Nigeria disintegrating in 2015, quite way long back as 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But I will tell you that Nigeria is peculiar in every way. Whatever way you look at it, Nigeria is peculiar. We have a way of getting around things and doing things in an extraordinary way. There are signs that the boat is about to rock or whatever, but I believe that come what may, we'll overcome. I see storm, but I also, after the storm, I see peace by the end of the day.
Yes, because sometimes you need, for a change to happen in any society, in any nation, you find that there's always, first of all, trouble. It's like a woman giving birth, you know? So that's the kind of state you're saying that Nigeria is right now.
Yeah, with insurgency.
And then, yes, with insurgency and all that and all that.
I will tell you that with insurgency and with the intra-party squabbles that we're having right now, the PDP is struggling with itself. The APC is also struggling with itself.
It's only SDP that is more stable than
what I call the minority parties are actually they, of course, they have to be stable because you know you get troubles based on your size.
Yeah.
But what am I trying to say? I'm saying that the squabbles we have in the parties are signs that there will be trouble. You know, the politicians in their characteristic way don't give and take in Nigeria. So I think we are looking at trouble after 2015, but that trouble, like I said before, is not going to be a trouble that will mar Nigeria. It's going to be a trouble that will challenge Nigeria to be better.
Give Nigeria give birth to a new
Yes,
Nigeria.
of course. The insurgency, specifically, as I was talking about, the insurgency actually, you know, we've come to realize, initially we are talking about the Boko Haram thing as a Nigerian thing. Now we've realized that it's not just Nigeria, it's an international issue. And having realized that, with the approach that we are putting in place now, the federal government actually not doing enough, but I believe that all hands are now on deck to address that issue, and we will overcome. I still maintain that we will overcome.
Otumba 2015.
Well, I think the storm will be up to the time of the primaries. Once we finish the primaries in all parties and the flag bearers emerge, serious politicking would arise. There'll be more stability. People will go and vote. People will defend their votes. And I'm sure we're going to have an election where the loser will accept that he has lost faithfully. Because Nigerians are extremely intelligent about what they are doing now. They are more aware. And they know the difference between bad and good. They know the difference between those who are just talking and those who are working. And they know those who are capable and those who are not capable. So I am convinced that the problems may be there before, at the primary stages, there may be all kinds of bad behaviors. But once the flag bearers are selected, serious politicking begins, mass campaign begins, we're going to get there, we're going to have an election, and somebody's going to win, and win well. There will be no dispute about it. Okay. In regard to the issue of insurgency, that's my greatest worry. That's my greatest worry. These guys have now crept up to Mubi and changed the name, and they introduced Sharia. That is a great signal of danger for Nigeria, in that a number of who are anti-Boko Haram before will now begin to see in the north that we'll be looking for Sharia so that the corruption may reduce. Now we have some people who are there and punishing those who went to loot those who are the houses of those who have escaped. And therefore, Boko Haram would using that to draw more sympathizers and followers and acceptance. My worry is that if these people get to an airport and they can now fly in and fly out things at any of the international airports in the north, then Nigeria will be in great danger of the things spreading beyond control.
Now, Otumba, you mentioned a very valid point about corruption.
Yes.
Them saying, okay, look, we have to deal with the corrupt people.
Exactly.
You know, in Egypt, that was how the Brotherhood came to power.
Yes.
There was this perception of corruption during the Mubarak era.
Yes.
And then they said, okay, look, we have to do this. Use the tenets of Islam to fight corruption.
Yes.
And we are seeing it here. But I wonder how, Emeka will see that. And also, generally, the 2015, and whether you're going to vote or not.
Well, no doubt, gleaning from what the other speakers have said, the signs are no doubt ominous. Given the current squabbles going on in various political parties, within the PDP itself, APC as to who is going to be the presidential flag bearer between Atiku and Buhari, and of course we saw what I would consider a tacit endorsement of Buhari by most of the big wigs of APC. Now, how well Buhari, who has been a serial loser, is going to square up against an incumbent like Jonathan is a matter that we need to talk about. Now, I don't see any serious problem. For me, without any equivocation, I think Jonathan definitely will get back there. But at what cost is important. Secondly, the issue of Boko Haram. And that's where I tend to disagree a bit with Otumba Oyemi, in the sense that even amongst the Muslims themselves, they are tired of this Boko Haram thing. So it's not a situation where you have a Sharia and then getting some sympathy. I don't think so. I think the Boko Haram problem has festered because there are people who feed on it. Our political class feed on that continually. Jonathan and the current administration jolly well know that if they really want to stop Boko Haram, they can stop. What we have seen over the time is people who are not, a government that has not been very sincere, a government that is feeding on this to distract the populace, a government that is trying to curry sympathy. But I think that the jury is out already. It's either they do something about it. No, it's some 2 weeks back, we were told that the timing of the release of the Chibok girls, was meant to coincide with when Jonathan was going to declare his presidential ambition. And he was even going to use that as a political masterstroke. He will gain some political mileage if that happens, but that has not happened.
All right. So we'll take a break, and when we return, we'll take a look at, talk more about this Chibok girls and how politicians are going to use it as a bargaining chip, and also look at, again, about the prediction, all the troubles Nigeria is going through right now. So don't go away. You're still watching Patitos Gang, and we'll be right back.
Patitos Gang, Nigeria's favorite television talk show, is back on local terrestrial TV. The 30-minute potpourri goes to the heart of the matter with its focus on the common good, making government accountable to the people and deepening democracy. Your ultimate electronic village square talk show makes a big comeback with Eugene Ohu and Austin Nweze as co-pilots. Patitos Gang features credible voices from all sides of the political divide in a no-holds-barred discussion. Watch out for Patitos Gang airing on STV Monday night, midnight. Patitos Gang, more vibrant, more incisive, and more analytical than ever.
We are back. You're still watching Patitos Gang, and we're still talking about 2015. Will it be or will not be? Will Nigeria be or will Nigeria not be? But my hope and my prayer is that, and the gang member agree with me, that Nigeria will be. And, we talked about, Otumba, are you going to vote?
Now, I just want to comment on something Emeka said now. And I think there is some disconnect there. He has said that he thinks Jonathan will win because...
that's his own personal opinion.
That's a good view.
And by the way, Otumba,
yes,
let me just mention, I don't believe there's a loser in politics. You can never lose.
Don't worry. Let me finish that.
That's my point.
Now,
your swearing in may be delayed,
yes,
just like my own was delayed Inshallah, in 2011.
Get that. Now, the point I'm trying to say is that if a large number of people feel that the government has not done what it should do to stop Boko Haram, that is a minus. If we talk to 10 Nigerians randomly and ask them the question, are you happy the way things are in Nigeria? They will tell you, 9 out of 10 will tell you they're not happy. So I don't see how that will not translate into electoral liability for some people and access for others.
But
now,
I think
let me finish.
Let me cut in here.
Sorry, let me finish. So therefore, the election in 2015, only Almighty Allah knows who may likely win, because there are so many contending issues. There's the issue of poverty, the issue of power that Obasanjo is now saying that is the government that are there now that have not done it well, which is not a positive recommendation for whoever it is incumbent. So all of these are going to have some impact on the way people will vote in 2015.
Well, you see,
let me just say something.
Yeah.
Otumba, when I mentioned that Jonathan was going to win,
Yes.
I was following just a tradition. It's not that, personally, I wouldn't vote for Jonathan, given the contending issues. But how much of our votes at the end of the day will really count?
That's a good question.
well,
I think it's not really important talking about who to vote for.
Yes.
I want to point out that Nigeria, our democracy is still very, very infantile. We'll talk about, instead of talking about issues, we'll talk about personalities. Issue of winning 2015 elections or losing 2015 election rests with the electorate. And I'm beginning to think that our politicians are not doing enough to tell us what they have for us. If you look at what is going on now, it's just cashing in on the Boko Haram insurgency, Chibok girls, release our girls, we will do this when I come on board. Nobody has the master stroke to stem the tide of insurgency anywhere in the world. The US has failed in doing that.
Yeah.
UK has failed in doing that. Global powers have failed in containing insurgency, containing terrorism. So I don't believe that any politician will be able to do that. One, first and foremost, let's do the right things, and then let's begin to pray. Nigeria, we are praying people. We'll continue to pray and believe that God is going to turn the hearts of whatever is the source of the problems that we have, and then we're going to control it. Then again, talking about democracy, 2015 and democracy, I want to say that we need to begin to engage issues like, what is the APC bringing on board? What is the PDP bringing on board? What is the manifesto? Right now, I'm beginning to think that I don't even know the manifesto of any of the political parties. Austin here is contesting governorship election in Ebonyi, SDP. I don't even know what the manifesto of SDP is.
And that
the PDP,
the manifesto of SDP, you don't know because you are uninformed. Otherwise, the manifesto of SDP is in the public domain.
Yes, of course.
Let me tell you something
I'm not talking about really. I'm not talking, when I say I don't know.
Let me learn.
Okay.
The manifesto of SDP is in the public domain. I remembered an article I co-authored with a friend of mine that I titled SDP and the Nehemian Mandate.
Okay.
I was privileged to have spoken to Olufalaye, and I saw the caliber of people around that party. These were people I know who had held positions both at the local and the national level, and these are people who have not, you cannot say they are thieves. You cannot say they have compromised themselves, But does that translate into electoral victory is another thing. Now, the issue of, just like Riley said, you really cannot say the difference between APC and PDP.
I don't see the difference.
It brings me to the point I'm saying is that, to the point I've been making earlier on. Jonathan winning 2015 election, for me, is a foregone conclusion. Not because we are going to vote him in, because they have perfected all the acts that are necessary to get him there. Now, if you talk about the electorate, what we have in Nigeria, we have the level of sophistication is not there. How many of us are informed? I mean, shortly before now, we are talking about people, rented crowd. A lot of people who are going to vote on that day are going to be rented, except for Ekiti case, where you had somebody like Ayo Foyeshe coming to defeat an incumbent. That was because there was no connection.
Besides, to stress what he said, I've never seen an incumbent in Nigeria
losing election.
I don't know why.
It's rare. It's rare. It's not only in Nigeria, it's a peculiar feature of African politics.
Yes, I have never seen that, and that speaks to the way we conduct elections.
And that goes to show that Ekiti boasts of the highest
number of professors in the country.
Maybe they are more enlightened. And that's the point
I want to make.
I'm
talking about the presidency at the presidential
level.
What
it brings us to the case, the point I want to make about the role of the kind of democracy that we are practicing today. Are we ready for it? Is it good for us?
I would.
And do we practice this kind of democracy on an empty stomach, where poverty is ravaging the whole country? Are we practicing with the level of education?
No.
Don't we need a critical mass of educated people to be able to practice the kind of, you keep mentioning informed. People are not informed.
Yes.
So these are the things that, this democracy, Otumba.
Yes, let me talk about that. When the military burst midwife democracy to Nigeria, the midwife it on a very corrupt basis. That is money politics. So there is no one who can win an election in Nigeria easily today without tons and tons and tons of money. And that kind of money could not have been earned legitimately through honest labor. They must have been money you are stealing from government. Look at all of them, wherever, in every sector government, wherever, they are former public officers who had made a lot of money wherever they are. So as long, and because of that corruption, it leads to the issue of feeding into poverty of the people. And also ignorance. Those are the three things that are undermining the democracy in Nigeria.
Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of money in Nigeria, you cannot likely win an election. Because even advertising, doing your posters alone, it costs millions of naira to do posters. Not to talk of going on television. It's a lot of money to do that. Then people are so poor, they expect whoever wins an election to steal money. Therefore, they pay me my own now before I vote for you, because I want to get there. They are going to steal. So until we are able to educate the people to appreciate that they are mortgaging their future by taking 5,000, they're already distributing 500 naira somewhere around the town now.
Now, look, just in that line of discussion, what about the role of INEC when elections are not going on? Are they not supposed to be educating the populace, informing them about
it is
the
not
importance
INEC,
of...
it is the National Electoral Agency that should be doing that kind of thing. We are not hearing anything from them because the way things are now, suit those who are in power. They have the money, they have the contacts, and they know that the people don't really know the difference between any party. Yeah? People are crossing from socialists to communists, from communists to radical, all kinds of people are crossing.
I think in the country, our value systems are misplaced. Yes. People are measured by the value of their bank accounts or material acquisitions.
How deep pocket?
How deep their pockets are. And that is why you find a party like SDP, I have had the privilege of going through their manifesto, is a socialist kind of party that has man from cradle to death as the centerpiece of its policy. You know, in senior societies like in England, where in Great Britain, where you have the Labour Party and this party, of course, any party that comes, you know where the ideological opinions are. Yeah. Here, you don't find such, there's no such purity. You don't know even the difference between APC, and that's why it's easy for people to move from one party to the other. Atiku went back to PDP. He's now back to APC. And
he's still moving on.
And okay, hold on. Let me just learn. One, prior to this time, people were using ethnicity and religion. Now they are feeding fat on the abject poverty you have in this country.
All right,
let's
infrastructure. Yes, a quick comment before we go.
Yes, the point I'm trying to say is that you talked about INEC doing a lot of orientation, and you talked about the orientation agency being the one to do that. But I think the political parties, I agree with you that these agencies are supposed to do something, but the political parties should be actually the agent of information dissemination. They will educate, because apart from the pressure groups, apart from trying to win, they should be. They're not just when elections are there.
When elections are not coming up,
they should be active. Yes. And then again, the youths are not being engaged. Look at the crop of politicians we have today. They are recycling. They're not even recycling their children. Okay. They are recycling themselves.
Okay.
You know, at 80, at 70, somebody is also trying to contest the election. And what happened to the children? Okay. What is the hope of the
Okay, hold it. Just one quick comment before we go.
I believe there must be a third force that is not a party group or whatever, but tests people all of the time. Don't sell your votes because you are selling your birthright. Vote only for credible people and for policies and things that will affect you when they get there. That's what Nigeria can
we need forward. A vibrant civil society whose responsibility is to bring into public consciousness these issues. You let people know that you don't mortgage your future for a pot of pottage, just like what happened to Esau. And we need a generational change. What values are our old people giving? Most of our people who are in position of government are not preparing successors. So that when it gets to that point, they want to perpetuate themselves in office. There are no people to take over from them. They are not mentoring the way it should be. Okay. They are not passing on to the next generation.
Now, I think it's important, the point you made about mentoring, and it's important to close on that note, that the older generation should also mentor the younger generation. But again, a corrupt older generation, how can they mentor the younger generation? So we're in a dilemma. We have a crisis of values in our system, and I believe that as we keep pushing, we get our democracy right. But again, our democracy, we should not lose our heritage. We should take care of be aware of our heritage, and then blend our democracy in line with that. On that note, don't go away. This is the Patitos Gang. I'll be right back. This is where we draw the curtain to this week's episode of Patitos Gang. And you have heard from the gang that the election will hold, that Nigeria will still remain the same, and that we should perform our civic rights by making sure that we vote the right candidates and stay away from violence. No matter how much the politicians lure you into violence, please do stay away and make sure that your vote counts.
It seems as if no one is in control.